Hello, this is Sharon from SAS Statistical Programming. In this lecture, we're going to talk about missing values. A missing data value occurs when an observation has no value for a variable. Missing information can arise from various situations. When data is collected by way of a survey, respondents can refuse to answer a question, or they may not have the information at hand. In many data collection situations, a variable may be blank simply because the scenario does not apply. So what should the analyst do when that's not the case? There are two strategies: complete case analysis and imputation, both of which will be discussed in this section. Let's look at the complete case analysis first. Most SAS procedures by default utilize list-wise deletion. Here, an observation is deleted from the analysis if it's missing data on any one variable used in that analysis, thereby resulting in a complete case analysis. A complete case analysis is acceptable if the percentage of missing values is small and occurs for very few variables. However, there are some situations where complete case analysis is unacceptable. First, when the analysis involves a large number of predictors or high dimensionality, the analyst should expect missing data to be an even bigger problem. Also, in cases where the percentage of missing observations on a single input variable is relatively large, a complete case analysis is obviously not acceptable. An alternative approach to this situation would be to utilize a subject matter expert to verify that either the variable is not important to the business case or that there are proxy variables with complete data which can be used in the analysis instead. Next, let's look at using imputation with a missing value indicator. An alternative to the complete case approach is imputation. Imputation methods employ statistical strategies for replacing the missing values with representative non-missing values. As a result, all observations have complete or imputed values and are retained for analysis. In order to consider imputation approaches, the analyst must first consider the pattern of the missingness. If observations are either missing completely at random, that is, if there are no systematic reasons related to the study for the missing values to exist, but which is rarely the case, or number two, missing at random, where the reason for missing is not related to the outcome variable. It's an acceptable practice to use imputation methods. Remember, when observations are not missing at random and are omitted from analysis, the results will be biased and should not be used for descriptive or inferential purposes. When conducting predictive modeling, a big concern exists when the pattern of missingness is related to the target variable, the variable to be predicted. One solution to this problem is to consider both imputation and the missing value indicator variable. For example, if the variable having missing values is numeric continuous, the analyst would create a missing value indicator variable associated with that variable, where the indicator variable would be assigned a value of 1 if the observation has a missing value on the variable of interest, or 0 otherwise. At the same time, the analyst would then replace the value of the missing variable with a representative value, say the median. If the variable having missing values is a binary categorical variable, coded 0 for no and 1 for yes, the analyst would still use the median for imputation, which is equivalent to assigning the value that occurs most often in place of the missing value. A missing value indicator variable would be created as well. Next, let's use a SAS program to perform missing imputation with missing value indicators. Hello, this is Sharon from SAS Statistical Programming. In this lecture, we're going to talk about how to handle missing values using imputation with missing value indicators. First, I'm using proc import to import a Excel data file. It's called allScore into SAS. And from this import procedure, we're going to create a SAS data set. I call it AMIS. Let's run this to have the data ready. This is the AMIS data set. It has a few variables. Stu ID is student ID, and this is student gender, and read, math, science, and write are 4 scores on different subjects. So from this data set, we can see for all 4 score variables, they have some missing values. For read score, we have a missing here, and for math and science, we have missing here, and for write, we have missing here. And we have more missing down here as well. All right. Then we're going to create missing value indicators and also using missing imputation to handle those missing values. Let's look at this data step program. So here I want to create a new SAS data set. I call it A. And then the input SAS data set is AMIS, which is created from previous proc import procedure. And I have 2 array statements here. The first array statement creates an array, I call it IMI, which groups the 4 new missing value indicator variables. We're going to create those indicator variables, IMI read, math, science, and write. Okay. And the second array statement creates an array called xImput, which groups the original 4 variables, read, math, science, and write score variable. All right. And also the next is this do loop. This do loop will populate each of the 4 missing value indicator variables according to this if then else statement. Basically, if xImput, which represent original variables, if the original variable equals missing, then I, which represent one of the missing indicator variable. So this missing indicator variable equals 1, else the indicator variable equals 0. All right, let's run this data step program and creating the new data set A. So this is the data set A. From this column's information, we can see we have 4 new variables created, which is the 4 indicator variable, 4 original score variable. All right. Let's take a look at those 4 variables. We can see IMI read, it has most of it is 0, and it has this one value 1, which corresponding to the missing value in original read variable. Okay. And another example is this IMI science indicator. Here has a value as 1, which corresponds to the original science variable. Here, the missing value. Okay. After we successfully create this new data set A with the 4 indicator variable, then let's move to our next procedure, which is proc stdize procedure. This procedure is originally used to standardize values on variables named in this where statement. But here we use RI's PO and LY, this option, which will request that the only operation to be invoked is the replacement of missing values, and the data will not be standardized. And method equals median, this option requests that missing values on a variable are replaced by the median value of that variable. Okay, and the result of the procedure will be saved in the temporary SAS data set, __impute. Okay, so this option will create a data set with the input value, and the data set is __impute. And the variable we want to perform imputation here is the 4-score variable, read, math, science, and write. Okay, let's run this procedure. Before run this procedure, I want to mention, because this lecture we are not focusing on how to use this procedure. So if you need more information on this procedure, I include a link here. Okay, let's run this procedure. This is the new data set created by the procedure __impute. We can see now for all 4 score variable. Let me scroll to the right a little. This is all 4 score variable. We can see they don't have missing value. They don't have any missing values. Okay, and also this missing indicator variables are also included in this new data set. All right, next I want to use 2 print procedure to print 2 data set. One is the __impute we just created, and another one is miss, which is the input data set. I want to print both of them for comparison. Let's run those 2 procedures. From this result page, we can see the first one is the imputed data set, and we can see, for example, for mi_read, this indicator, 1 is equals to 1, then it has this corresponding imputed value for read variable 85, which is the median for this variable. Okay, and also in comparison with the original data set with missing value, here this is observation 8, it's a missing value for read score, and then this is the observation 8 with imputed value, which is median of read score 85, and the indicator is 1 showing here. Okay, all right, this is it for this lecture. In this lecture we talk about how to handle missing values with imputation with missing value indicators.